Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to the channel. It's Cynicalex, and I wanted to do a Black Bolt versus Thor comparison, but I realized I hadn't really done a video solo focused on Black Bolt and really expressing just how good I think he is. So that's what we're doing in today's video, and we're also going to talk about some things that I noticed about Black Bolt so that you can make the most out of him, whether he's tier 3 or tier 4. So first thing that I want to cover, and unfortunate that we didn't get the damage there to go to the next phase, is the performance in GBR as well as the rotation in GBR. So this is going to be a 2-4 here. The first is that his performance with this team up specifically in GBR, which I consider to be his second best team up, is not that good. I consider his speed to be about the same, maybe a little bit slower than Thor with a worse team up. However, the rotation I'm using, I do think is the best for him. So keep note of the rotation. It's pretty good and it's very consistent. It's 5. When he stomps the first time, you cancel into 3 and then cancel immediately into 4. And then you either let 4 or 6 play out, and then you do 1 cancel 2. So that's 5 with a little bit of a delay, and then you cancel that after the first stomp into 3 and then into 4. We're going to see it again here. So first stomp into 3 into 4. You just move around, whatever, use the V-pad. As soon as the blast comes, you do 1 cancel 2, and you let that play out. You want to let that play out because 2 actually does really good damage. However, as you can see here, I'm just not that impressed with his overall performance. This takes him just under 2 minutes, which is fine, but I did kind of expect more with a double support team. However, his second skill hits really hard. So if he doesn't do that well with a Proxima Medusa support team, why would I talk about him in GBR? Well, if you use him with this team instead, and it's just swapping one of the supports for Morgan Le Fay, he does insanely well, and it may have something to do with the way that boss increased damage scales with final damage from his tier 4 and from the Morgan Le Fay buff. So as you can see here, instead of failing to finish off Dormammu, we were actually able to kill him. And then again, that's losing the 45% increased damage from supervillains that that Proxima gives, but instead changing that over for increased damage to boss types, which is what I believe Morgan's passive gives. So another option would be, of course, to use Sif. I believe Sif gives a similar buff here, but you also, again, you want to remember that with the rotation, you want to let the second skill play out after the fourth skill. So you let 4 and 2 play out basically all the way. 1 gets instant canceled, 3 gets instant canceled, and then 6 gets played out as well. But yeah, you can see the damage here is way, way, way better. And we're just gonna do this here. Like it's shockingly better, right? It's miles better. And again, for such a fast clear, right? It was 1:45 with Proxima support. This is a solo run, so it is less, you know, it is less HP, but this is way faster. You know, this is much, much, much faster. We're talking, well, 15 seconds here, but it should actually be even faster. So I'm not exactly sure why Morgan Le Fay is so much of a better support for Black Bolt than either Medusa or Proxima. You know, generally speaking, we do value the boss damage increases a little bit higher than the increased damage to supervillains or superheroes, but 35% is a lower number anyways. The 35% all attack is good, but keep in mind that Black Bolt does have a lot of attack, right? 68,000 energy attack here. And then when I use his own leadership, because that's how you're going to use him, he's going to jump up to 85,000. So more all attack really probably isn't the answer. So I'm guessing it has to do with the damage dealt to boss types and how that scales, and maybe has some sort of multiplication with his tier 4 skill that gives him that final damage increase. So you may want to pair, if you can, pair your Black Bolt with either Sif or Morgan Le Fay. They both give buffs to allies that increase damage to boss types. But that's the first thing I observed. I was kind of unimpressed with his performance in GBR without Morgan Le Fay or Sif. And then when I gave Morgan Le Fay or Sif, he became way better, very, very fast. And with this new rotation, he's so much smoother to play. So one more time, I just want to cover it here. 5 with a slight delay when he slams, going to 3, going to 4. And then when 4 is done with the laser, you cancel 1 into 2. And you let 2 play out because it does good damage. So one more time, that's 5 into 3 into 4 right away. So no delay on 3, and then when he blasts, do 1 into 2. And then when you have the tier 3 up, of course, you're pressing the 7th skill as often as you can. When you have the tier 3 ready, you would do 5, delayed cancel, 3 cancel, 4 cancel, 6. And then you would just let 6 play out all the way until the explosion, and then 1 into 2 for a little bit of extra damage. But yeah, this rotation starting with a 5 delay, very smooth. Also a very proc-friendly rotation. However, some people have noted that they cannot wait for the first landing on 5. So some people are just going to do 5, cancel 3, cancel 4 proc, but that's only if you're using a proc obelisk or a mighty CTP of destruction or a CTP of energy, that kind of thing, right? For all other intents and purposes, you can wait if you're using a CTP of rage. Pretty much any other CTP for PvE is not going to work besides what I just mentioned. And then for PvP, I don't think he has much value there, but you know, I guess the jury is sort of out on that. As far as the rest of the build goes, he has 4 Odin's Blessings of Magic. He's got rank 4 type enhancements, so that could still be higher for more added damage. He's got stage 12 Power of Angry Hulk, no artifact for the ignore, dodge, and the attack. And then the uniform is still at Mythic. But there is more about his kit besides the GBR function with Morgan Le Fay or Sif, and the rotation that I wanted to share with you. Now, although I know this is Black Bolt's old uniform when he was a hero, I did want to test if he could do stage 50 to 54 of Infinity Ultron to give you a little bit of extra value. But from what I can tell, he cannot do it. Like maybe with a perfect run he can, but unfortunately this version of Black Bolt suffers a lot. He takes a ton of damage. He just has a lot of different things that make him not very good. He has sort of poor tracking on his tier 3, as you can see here. Mostly he just takes way too much damage. And he also just doesn't do very much damage. It's unfortunate because I did like the flexibility of Black Bolt, but I do think this is one area where he struggles and where you are going to struggle with him. If you don't have the newest uniform, but of course the newest uniform makes him a villain, so you have that problem instead. And again, this is like a max build type situation. Actually, you know what? I think he could with a max build, like I'm seeing this here. 55 was really hard, or 54 was really hard when I tried it, but it is probably possible for him to do 50. Now, we just triggered the phase, but yeah, you know what? Maybe he can do this. So, I mean, tier 4 is a pretty expensive investment to do stage 50 of Ultron. I'm not going to lie to you. But as again, people are going to compare this to Thor, so I wanted to cover what he can do, you know, so that you can have the both sides. The thing that you want to compare as well with Thor is the possibility of Black Bolt in the future getting another hero uniform. That's a very high possibility. However, on the flip side, for Thor, is he ever going to get a villain uniform? Unlikely. I would say unlikely. Now, I know there's probably comics out there where Thor is a villain, or it's probably questionable, you know, it's like an anti-hero kind of thing or whatever, and Thor has definitely had his fair share of very selfish storylines, but again, I just don't see, after, you know, all the MCU stuff with Chris Hemsworth, I don't see the MFF devs wanting to make Thor a villain, and I don't see the you know, the Marvel people signing off on that and sort of being like, yeah, sure, make one of the most popular heroes a villain, a bad guy. So on the flip side, I can definitely see it for Black Bolt, which is really good because it means you'll have that flexibility. This uniform, like I said, is probably going to cap out around stage 50 to 54 of Ultron. Like, I think this is really the limit for this uniform. But it's not bad. It's honestly not bad. He has to be tier 4 for this. Obviously, level 80 is not going to cut it at all. But it's not bad. The only thing you really have to deal with, it seems like, because the damage, he's got it. So all you really have to deal with is the survivability. It's a lot worse with this uniform because he went from like 10% damage reduction to like 40. And he has lower stats and blah, blah, blah. But yeah. So I do like this. This was originally not going to be praising Black Bolt, but I do really like this. Not only is the damage good, but I really like the flexibility. We talked about this at length with Iron Man, how good he is for being a character that can be a hero and a villain. And if what? That was so weird. If Black Bolt can do it just like Iron Man can, then that's a huge bonus. So just going to try to pop the tier 3 and get some bit more burst damage here. But we can definitely do this. We're not going to play this one all the way out just because, yeah, we're getting unlucky here. but he can definitely do this stage. The next thing I wanted to showcase for Black Bolt is how flexible his V-pad is. Now, he does enough damage to just brute force this stage anyways versus Gore, but I really like the fact that you can basically reposition him. His tier 3 has a bit of bad targeting, keep that in mind. His tier 3, if the target moves right as you start the tier 3, because there's a bit of a wind-up where Black Bolt like jumps into the air before doing all the zigzags, during that jump-up wind-up, if the boss moves, and it's happened to me in Alliance Battle Legend with Surtur, you don't get that. But being able to reposition with the V-pad is so nice. Like, I didn't dodge it that time, but the first time he did that circular attack, I was actually able to dodge it, which is really good. And then here we can just go into this, wait for him to move towards him, and then that gives us preferential positioning. And for Gore specifically, right, for Ultron as well, Ultron and Gore really benefit. You really benefit a lot from superior positioning. In Ultron's case, it's when he uses the stones and you have to dodge things, being able to hit him and avoid him going into optimization by being able to move, right? We always, really highlight the value of V-pad skills. And then with Gore, like, look at how much crap is going to be on the screen in a second here. And being able to move and reposition yourself carefully, not only is his movement speed good, right, but being able to move out of the way of this so that it only hits you once is amazing, right? It's really, really good. And so those are some of the most important things I've noticed when playing Black Bolt at tier 4 that I think you should know if you're going to invest all the way in this character, and that you're going to want to know in the future for the comparison video with Thor tier 4. I definitely think these two tier 4s are good for different things and in different ways, and I definitely will highlight those in the head-to-head competition. But for Black Bolt, I really wanted to highlight how good this new rotation is, this 5 cancel, delayed cancel 3/4 is, and also how valuable, surprisingly how valuable this uniform can be. We know about Dispatch, we know about stage 10-3, but surprisingly, he was good for Ultron stage 50, which is quite high. I know some people haven't climbed up that high yet, but it is something to consider. Whether he can go all the way to 54 of Ultron is sort of up for question, up for debate. Also depends on your build and your cards and your patience, to be honest, because Thor just rips through that. But there is some value looking forward into the future for his ability to get another uniform that turns him back into a hero. Much more likely that he gets a hero uniform in the future than Thor getting a villain uniform. However, in the meantime, we could absolutely get another villain tier 4. Right? There's quite a few villains that could absolutely get tier 4. A lot of them, if you look at universal villains, a lot of them happen to be native tier 2, or in some cases native tier 3. Gore and Null, right, are both native tier 3, but there are some other options available. Hela could get a tier 4, for example, or Ultron or Loki. That's pretty much it. So actually, there are very few options for tier 4 universal villains. Which again is a reason to consider Black Bolt. I do wish this uniform was a little bit stronger, like Superior Iron Man is for Iron Man tier 4, but I think it can definitely get the job done for you to have the flexibility to play as either one of them as the needs arise. Because let's be honest, the Inhuman tag, the fast movement tag, and the energy projection are not as valuable as some of the other abilities for climbing World Boss Legend. And while the villain is helpful and the universal is helpful, the Inhuman and not Alien or whatever really does hold him back on a few of the requirements that Thor just, like I said, rips through. So yeah, we're gonna have to do a comparison later on. Keep in mind that I don't have his artifact at this time, so he may actually even be better once we get that, whereas Thor and the others already have their artifacts. So that's another thing to consider if you think I'm not being fair to Black Bolt. Just wait and see. But yeah, I'm really happy with his production. I think he's a really fun tier 4 to play. Visually, he looks very satisfying and pretty unique. Yeah, I'm happy. So anyways, hit me up in the comments down below. Let me know what you think. Thank you so much for watching. Smash the like button, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.